Hello guys, and welcome to a new Stud Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 3 vs 3 on Siedlce, and I'm going to be playing with the 1st Airborne Task Force with the balanced deployment type. As you can hear, the game is underway as my troops move forwards. I have a Spitfire coming out at the start, well technically a Seafire, to provide me with some recon onto enemy forces. Also does have a little bit of firepower. Only 60 rounds on those 20 mils, however, but enough to shoot down this biplane that my opponent is going to be using. And while that's happening, the P-51 are going to be coming in with the two 500 kilogram bombs to look to hit some of these transports on the right hand side early on, giving me a nice advantage with my forcemen early on. Bombing strike hits nicely onto the jeeps here, takes out a couple of units, although I think the Panzerschreck unit here survived by unloading at just the right time. So not the most effective bombing strike in the end, but certainly will slow down the deployment of his units on this right hand side. I will say that mine were slowed down as well. My forcemen here forced to unload on the road as the Panther shoots down it. But let's just go through the rest of my troops. On the left hand side here, Forcemen BAR with the leader, Forcemen Scouts AB Powder 6-pounder. In the middle we got 3 50 cals, and on the right hand side similar composition, Forcemen BAR, Forcemen leader, Powder, and the 6-pounder there. On the right hand side, one Forcemen leader managed to make it all the way up. My 6-pounder currently is firing at the Panther D. Not quite in line of sight here to shoot the 259, I don't think, or at least if it was, I hadn't right-clicked it. The F-109 going to be coming in there with the rockets, but at this point you can see the 6-pounder has now been pinned down, which is not ideal. These 259s really scary for the 1st Airborne to deal with, because in the early game in Phase A you don't get any tanks with the 1st Airborne Task Force. You're incredibly reliant on these AT guns and potentially your Air Force to hold back enemy armor. You can of course use bazookas in closer range environments like this on the right hand side where he's coming through the light cover. Bazooka will be fine there, but otherwise 6-pounders are what you're reliant on, and the Panther currently dealing with that nicely. Spätrup taken out very quickly here by the Forceman. Bazooka from the Forceman leader going to take out the 259. We're going to be able to get off the TNT there onto the enemy Pioneer, and I managed to retreat just in time to stop my Forceman from taking too much damage. So we kill the enemy Pioneer and survive ourselves, which is perfect, but the 259 here providing very good fire support. On the left hand side we're just holding this flag for the time being. I do have a Hellcat in, trying to use that to strafe the enemy, but the 50 cals not too effective at strafing armor. Now, realistically they probably would be, but then it would be OP, and we've been there before. But it is going to be forcing back the Forcemen. I need to be a bit careful with the Forceman leader there. Can't really leave it overexposed. This AB Powder having a bad time. Forceman BAR actually not trading too well at distance with the low health Panzergrens either. Going to be dropping smoke there with the Forceman leader. I'm going to be moving the other Forceman back now that they've recovered. A little bit of strafe from the Hellcat. You can see it really isn't that effective at strafing. Feels like some 50 cal aircrafts, they're better at strafing than others. I think in this case it's because there's only 6 50 cals rather than 8. It's only doing 1 damage there, so the AT guns are kind of abysmal. We're going to be trading here against another Pioneer unit. That's like a nice 2-for-1 really for my Forcemen, beating 2 Pioneers for the cost of 1, so that's okay. But you can see that we're in a pretty awful position thanks to this Panther that I just can't seem to deal with at the moment, because I don't really have any airplanes in Phase A that can take it out, other than potentially the 500 kilogram bombs of the Mustang. And then the other problem is AT guns are going to be firing from too far away because it's too open. So I'm going to be bringing in a mortar, and you can see we're starting to drop some smoke so that I can get my Forcemen forwards and into the right hand side. If I can control the right hand side, then when I finally get tanks in, we can support the right flank with some armor basically. But the Forcemen there picking off another 259, very important. BF-109 coming in again with more rockets, causing these assault group to have to fall back. Trying to get the C-fire to help by strafing the 76, but that's not quite working. This C-fire at least manages to shoot down the BF-109, so that's really good. Yeah, you can see I'm struggling to get into a good position here, especially with the 259 still causing me issues there. Tried to take out the FK, but that didn't work out. So now we have Forcemen moving up and managing to get across the open onto the right-hand side. And make sure to keep an eye on this squad throughout this game. It's one of the reasons that I wanted to record this for you. But otherwise, this was a really, really good game for talking about the strengths and weaknesses of the 1st Airborne. And you can see so far, we're incredibly reliant on our aircraft in the early game. I'm going to be trying to avoid the Flak 37s there on the right-hand side. Come in, drop the bomb on the left-hand side instead, which worked out quite nicely. It's actually going to give us the flag here as we continue to push forwards. Yeah, this right-hand side is completely collapsed, and it's very difficult for me to get these airborne assaults across the open, even with smoke support from the 107s. It's going to be awkward to cover every angle because it's such an open area. So now my Forcemen trying to take care of the IG-18 here. Sniper from the AB Powder really coming in clutch there, getting the kill, giving us good presence over this flag. No real need for me to overextend too much, so we're going to fall back a little bit on that side. Meanwhile, on the right, my Forcemen here, keeping them on the return fire briefly, just to make sure they don't reveal themselves when I don't want them to. My leaders waiting to Zuka the SDKZ 247B. Pretty interesting armoured car these, they look almost modern in design. Unfortunately, firing that bazooka led to the death of itself. The Forcemen now fallen back to heavy cover, allowing the Pioneers to come across. And Forcemen in this position are incredibly strong. With M1 Garands, with 2 BARs, they're going to absolutely slice Pioneers at range. You can see we've barely taken any damage. Now a second Pioneer Challenger going to be coming our way. My assault group, meanwhile, getting absolutely blasted. Poor guy getting taken out there as they fall back. That's really, really important that these win this engagement. I was crossing my fingers, hoping we can pin down the Pioneer before we get pinned down ourselves, and we just managed to pin down this Pioneer. We pinned down the second Pioneer just in time. If I can keep up the shots onto these Pioneers, then I don't have to fall this back, and that is huge, because if I have to fall this back right now, it's going to move out into the open. All the vehicles down here are going to kill me off, and that's going to be really bad. So Speertrupp going to be coming up to kind of break the engagement there. I'm going to have to fall back from them because they would otherwise help kill me off. Meanwhile, on the left, IG-33 going to force my scouts back and the AB Padders. There's also a Flak Panzer Panther there that is going to be doing a lot of work, although it does end up getting taken out by the Staghound. Pioneers start moving forwards to try and kill the Forcemen, get picked off on the right hand side. So Olsen here doing well, taking out the second Pioneer. Taking those out separately is exactly what I want to do, and wait for the Speertrupp to come in as well, and then we can take them out separately. Yeah, my front is collapsing pretty hard. The 20 mils and all the vehicles just proving very difficult for me to deal with. I didn't bring in enough AT guns early on the right hand side, and because I didn't bring them in at the start, it was very difficult for me to get them into position retroactively. So I had one on the road here, which is fine, but it would have been nice to maybe have one in the back garden here. Maybe you have one further to the right, or even in the tree line here or on the left, so that I can cover that off. Now we've got mortar fire coming in onto our Forcemen on the right. Meanwhile, these Forcemen did manage to Zuka vehicle coming up. Panzergrenz are engaging us as well. 6-pounders moving across so that I have line of sight. We do have technically APCR rounds, but at this range, AP shells are going to be pretty effective. As long as the 259 doesn't kill it. Currently the 259 shooting at the Forceman because it doesn't have line of sight. Managed to get another decent hit there. As I have changed to the APCR. And third shot comes through, we find the kill, perfect, Panther down. That's going to be a lot of my headache gone. We have just moved into phase B, and you can see I'm going to immediately buy 2 bow fighters. I'm kind of tempted to move these bow fighters into phase A just because they are so instrumental in holding back armor early on. But looking here for the Puma kill, and the SD KFZ 259. Managed to take out the Puma at least, kill off the Panzergrens on the right hand side using the assault group. AB Paras currently breaking back towards the Panzergrens here. Forceman scouts moving through to intercept the Panzerschreck that's creeping in. Best way for me to deal with the Panzergrens, one of the big bombs, so 2 500 kilogram bombs, or 454 kilogram bombs technically, coming in and getting the kill here. Another Puma going to be going down as the 6-pounder engages. And this is really, really good. We're starting to pick up quite a lot of kills as YY overextends towards my lines. We held fast here, which was super important. And killing off these light vehicles plus the Panther really, really helps get me in a position where I can sort of springboard off with a bunch of armor on back. Because I now have Shermans available, I now have Stuarts available. And what I can do is mortar any of the potential support weapons that will be a problem, and then sort of continue to shift forwards. But the thing I need to do at this point is kind of find the AA, mortar the AA, and then I can start to really utilize the air force that I have for the rest of the game. Horseman again getting hit, but the napalm bombs of the GO actually end up missing just enough for Olsen to stay alive. We got the spear through there, hoping my Forcemen can take care of them. Got significant firepower in comparison, and the Spähstrupp do die. IG though is still causing me problems as they take out one of the assault group. So my mortars are firing away as I have now invested into 4 107mm mortars, which at this point was potentially an overinvestment, but certainly allows me to shut down support weapons with radio. So you can see I've got a Forceman leader here, and that's providing me with a big ring of radio that I can use with those 107mm mortars. On the right hand side I do need a radio as well, but it hasn't quite gone into position yet as the AB Pada gets smacked in the face. This IG again causing me problems, but I'm going to be of course mortaring that now as well. It's just the dispersion is going to be pretty wild due to there not being radio. But we do manage to get a couple shots on target, so the IG goes down. Forceman meanwhile moving up on the right hand side. I spotted the 2 AA pieces on the right hand side here briefly, so that was good. Stug catching out my M4 in a pretty bad position. Shots coming in there as it tries to get to the side, get behind cover, and get away. Was just about to make it as well. Let me get hit by the AT gun here, and you can see I'm trying to move back. And this was the 76 that I tried to kill earlier. It's up, catching me out. Unfortunate. But we have managed to at least get back into a relatively decent position here. YY now going to be investing in his Arado bombers. He's come in with pretty big bombs, 1,000 kilogram bombs. That one going for the 6-pounder. This one going for one of my 107mm mortars on the back side. Hoping that my Hellcat can potentially catch it, but those Arados super fast. And yeah, the Hellcat here going to struggle to get on the back, so going to be pulling off, getting the mortars on target where those AA pieces fired from. Meanwhile, the Forcemen still moving across, looking for the AT gun, looking for any targets they can actually kill. There is also an armoured piece in there that could be a target for the bazooka. Over here, AB Paras engaging Panzergrens at closer ranges will certainly be in favour of the Panzergrens, but there's another unit, Pioneerführer in this case. And the Forcemen make short work of them. Since the Pioneerführer wasn't within 100 meter range, it can use its HE bundle grenade. Now a Panzerschreck going to be the next target. That gets taken out, however, by the AB Paras. M4 Sherman brought that up. Unfortunately gets bailed out, so I can't retreat it. And it gets taken out. So unfortunate on the RNG there, but alas, Stug 4 doing its job. AB Paras trying to do theirs on the left, but getting pinned by cover from a distance. Here we go once again with the Air Force. Bow fighters coming in. Brought in both the bow fighters just to make sure that I can secure that kill. Hellcat's going to try and help pin the Panzergrenze so we can surrender those. Meanwhile, P-51 going to be bombing the fire support. That was causing me issues. So bow fighters doing their job. Now going to be pulling in to target the Focke-Wulf, but the Hellcat there getting right on the tail very, very fast indeed. And we managed to shoot down the Focke-Wulf very quickly. Now my bow fighters, I give them the order to like shoot this recon plane and also the IG there, but it does end up getting the bow fighters killed as they're not the most maneuverable. Meanwhile, Olsen here on the right hand side being an absolute chad takes out the 37mm AA, takes out the Stug. The other AA was taken out by the mortars, and he's managed to move through as a two-man squad and just wipe that right hand side. At that point my teammate is going to surrender. Things going very, very well in the middle for our team throughout the game, as Valdez did make a fantastic push across the open. But I'm starting to like really get the better of my opponent here, and yeah, he called it there. So now it's just a matter of kind of cleaning up, getting on these flags. So the Forcemen can be moving up, reinforcing Olsen on the right hand side. M10's getting into position to deal with heavier tanks at range. The M10s that the Americans have, they do come with the APCR rounds, the 185mm of penetration, and this is super important for taking care of heavier tanks like Tigers and Panthers. So getting those on the field at this point, very, very important. Just a matter of trying to take care of the rest of the AI here. And the Sturm Pioneer is not going to be having a fun time in the open up against the AB Paras. The Panzergrenze getting pinned down by the M10, getting taken out by more AB Paras. Forcemen meanwhile moving up. You might be wondering like why I'm relying on the AB Paras so much. The Forcemen are really expensive. They're 35 points a pop. And they're quite specialized in a sense that these Forcemen really good at close range, and then the BAR Forcemen kind of good at like the sort of medium to long range, but they want to play around like heavy and light cover. Whereas AB Paras, they're a little bit cheaper, and they can play across the open a lot better because they have a Lee Enfield. So in this sort of terrain where I'm having to use open ground, the AB Paras are the best choice. Not only because they're cheaper, but like I said, that sniper really, really helps deal with support weapons, things like IGs and AT guns. So yeah, that's the main reason for that. Forcemen, really good in sort of like the within 700 meter range engagement, where they can actually fire their Johnson. Ideally, well, 600 meter range, they can fire their Johnson and the M1 Garands at the same time when they're within 500, and that's like peak DPS. So that's what you want to be looking for with the Forcemen. When you got the BARs, it's a little bit different. BARs obviously have 750 meter range, but once again, getting the 10 M1 Garands on target as well is ideal, and that's where the veterancy can really, really come in handy. So M10's going to be firing down the road here towards the Stug 3. Managed to find an armor crack. Beautiful hit. On the left, a couple of armored pieces for the bow fighters to kill. The other nice thing about this game is it was quite cinematic. The bow fighters there take out the Panther D, looking for the kill onto the Stug 4. Stug 4 actually surviving as it was facing the correct direction and wasn't damaged already. And now the Hellcat coming in. Another bow fighter on the way to finish off the Stug 4. Cloud is still making fantastic progress on the left hand side. We're now making really good progress on the right. These Sturm Pioneers trying to move forwards, but getting picked off completely as they try and move it across the open. Getting onto the flag here, we're pushing 18 to 6, and things have completely fallen apart for our opponents. And I mean, honestly, you can see I don't really have much on the field right now. A lot of my points were invested in aircraft throughout the game, and so my actual ground forces was quite light throughout. You see once again bringing in another bow fighter. P-51's coming in for the bombing strike on Panzergrenz on the right hand side, and this is basically just growing a lead constantly. As long as the bow fighters aren't getting killed like unnecessarily, like they had done a couple of times. This is just good value, because bow fighter kills the Stug, it comes in again. If it survives, kills another armored piece, and then it's paid itself off. P-51, you know, that's been bombing the entire game, so that's definitely got plenty of kills for me. And that's exactly what you want to see. So 1 minute left on the clock as we have reached the 18-6, and you can see that I did really have trouble in the early game with all of the light vehicles, and I think that's one big weakness of the first Airborne is kind of recon 20mm spam. But maybe it was my fault that I didn't invest into enough AT guns, and I think in my deck I'm probably going to have to add a couple, well, like another card of AT guns into the early game, because it's super important that you do control the enemy armor early on, otherwise it could really snowball out of control, and it almost did. I was lucky that my mortar investment kind of helped carry me through the game a little, especially killing off enough of the AA on the right hand side here. Olsen here, the last man standing. Absolute Chad. Minor victory after 21 minutes 43 seconds. 2,445 kills, 1,545 losses. Really, really interesting game. YY putting in a lot of pressure early on, but overextended, and then we managed to push back. This Forceman BAR, again, Olsen, fantastic. Killed 2 Pioneers, the Spätrupp, the Pioneer Führer, killed the Flak 37 and the Stug on that right hand side. That is a lot of points value for that Forceman. P-51 getting plenty of decent bombing strikes in throughout. The mortars, really, really clutch actually. Maybe shouldn't have invested in like all 4 of them straight away when I was in such a bad position, but definitely helped shut down enemy mortars there. You can see killed off the IG-33 that was holding back a lot of my infantry. We ended up killing the AA, again, super important kills. And then you can see the AB Paras actually dominating at range, cleaning up a lot of stuff, particularly the Sturm Pioneers later on. That was when the AI took over though, and probably pushed them out in the open. But yeah, this 6-pounder on the left, killing off a couple of Pumas there, really, really good. And then the M10s securing stuff later on, bow fighters kept going to work because we'd shut down a lot of the AA. So yeah, I feel like this division, it really relies heavily on making sure that you shut down enemy AA so you can utilize your aircraft properly. That's like one of the main things, especially in the early game. And the other thing is just like making sure you have adequate AT in positions that you can hold until the mid game, where you can actually get yourself some armored support. Now my armored support in this, the Shermans didn't do too well, but in positions like on maps where you're a little bit more closer range, I feel like the first Airborne Task Force, super strong. So yeah, something to look out for, and yeah, gave me a good opportunity to talk about it in this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.